doing what I love every day is probably the best part of being a bonsai professional, and all that entails. Just like my whole life is kind of like revolving around little trees. Hello, I'm Peter Warren, bonsai professional based in South East London, and welcome to my garden. So part of my job is just kind of like very solitary and sort of staying at home and working by myself, and then another big part of my job is working with students, with customers, and helping them to develop the trees and the knowledge that they want. And so watching them and their trees grow is a very enjoyable part of the job. The working with bonsai is basically you're working with living trees, and they work to a seasonal schedule, and so the work that we do is very, very seasonal, particularly this time of year, which is in the spring. It's a race against the clock to try and get a lot of work done in terms of repotting the trees, and so that involves taking them out of the pots and removing some of the old soil, pruning some of the roots, and then putting them back into a pot with fresh soil. And depending on the species and lots of different factors, you've got to do this by a certain point in the tree's development before the buds start to open, before the tree really starts to grow. And so it can be a race against the clock, and every year it can be slightly earlier or it can be slightly later, depending on the winter and the temperature and things like that. And then once the trees start to grow, once we start getting into sort of late spring, early summer, then we have to start looking at pruning the trees. So stopping growth where we don't want it and allowing growth where we do want it. So throughout the sort of May, June period, and then into July, it's August, we're doing a lot of pruning and shaping of the trees as well. And then as it comes to the latter part of the year, once the tree's kind of like preparing for the winter, then again some pruning work and styling. So maybe we might be wiring the tree, so sort of applying wire to the branches and then looking to shape them, which is a job that can also be done over the winter. And then we get into winter proper, and then the biggest thing really is just to make sure that the trees are well protected from the cold or the rain over the winter. And then we get back to spring again, and we do this every year. One area that would be sort of great interest for people when they're just starting to do bonsai is to kind of reconnect with nature. A lot of people, particularly who live in cities, and they lead a kind of an unnatural life, but we're disconnected from kind of the natural cycle of things. We can buy tomatoes and strawberries in the middle of winter. We can buy whatever produce we want, whatever time of the year, and we've kind of lost contact with the natural cycle of nature. And so working with trees and sort of observing them every day, particularly like a time like this, when you go out and look at your tree, and every single day something is changing. The buds are starting to get bigger, leaves are starting to open out, flowers are starting to develop and things like that. And so you get a sort of a feeling of peace and kind of like tranquility from that. You just feel like connected back to the real world, the natural world. And looking after a tree, it can be a very difficult thing. You've got to water it every day, and you've got to look after its health and things like that. But it's a very rewarding it's very the time spent is very rewarding. And again, like particularly if you lead quite a busy life, you know, it forces you to spend a couple of minutes every day, just peacefully looking after the tree and just kind of like reconnecting with a slower, more natural pace of life. Well, this tree, this is one of my babies. This is one that I've sort of created very much from raw material. So some of the trees that I have, they've been worked on by many people, and it's my job to sort of maintain the shape and the structure. But this one has sort of been worked from a very raw piece of material, and this one in particular was a big challenge because everyone who saw it said that it would never become a bonsai, just because of the shape of the trunk and the way the roots were. But I saw something in there that was very interesting, and so it was a great kind of like artistic challenge to try and make the most of the character of the tree. And so it's been a huge challenge for me in lots of different ways, but the results are going to be pretty special, and it's going to be something that, you know, I've created all by myself, obviously with the help of the beautiful raw material, but it's kind of like one of my creations, which is a little bit more special than some of the other trees, I suppose.